Welcome back. You didn't think we were done, did you? This is episode 38. We did take a brief hiatus. Took care of some life stuff. Life happens. Nothing bad. All good things. And it wouldn't be a proper show if I didn't start it by saying I was excited. I feel like I've started every show by saying I'm excited about today's show because I am. But before we get into today's show, if you want to be on a future show or episode, shoot me an email right here if you're watching, sttf.weareverywhere@gmail.com, or shoot me a DM on any of the socials, and we'll get you on. That's exactly what today's guest did. Reached out via email, and we're in one or a couple of different Facebook groups together. So welcome with me, Bill Stadler. What's up, man?
How we doing?
We're doing good.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Nice to meet you. I gotta ask, because it even says on your email, it says Dollar Bill. I was like, I got an email from somebody named Dollar Bill. So is that a nickname that started when?
Yeah, I actually kind of gave myself the name from Funky Dollar Bill, I believe, is an old Parliament Funkadelic song.
Oh, sick.
George Clinton, all those guys.
Yes, dude.
Funky Dollar Bill, just, one of those silly things over the years, like if every time your name comes up in a song, Bill or whatever, it's like your personal built-in set list of your life, in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And briefly, from whenever we were talking, I guess through your introduction email,
yes.
You're a musician yourself. You play music,
yes.
right?
Absolutely.
So what do you play? Are you in a band or?
Mostly, like I was in school band in like a junior high school. I did trombone for 8 years.
Oh, sick.
And actually, right behind me is my my original 1984 Ludwig Rocker 2s.
Sick.
So through junior high and high school, and just had like a high school band. We did a lot of Metallica, Slayer, Testament, all the 80s metal stuff. Yeah,
dude. That's awesome.
And then when I went to college and that, of course, you pick up acoustic guitar, and I was always curious about my friends playing electric and bass and all that. So through the years, to like better communicate with your guitarist friends, I try to learn how to play all the instruments so that how to communicate with people more in a band.
That's dope.
So that's been a lifelong goal of mine as well, is to be able to be fluent on all the instruments that like Phish plays or something, at least fluent, that you can hang in a jam, no matter what anyone's doing. Like, oh, nobody's, playing bass, I can jump in with these guys.
Know some chords, know some scales.
Absolutely. Yeah. As much as you can. Yeah.
So how many different instruments can you play right now?
Mostly, like I said, I've been working on just the basic 4 that like Phish plays.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't really play my trombone anymore, and I inherited a accordion from my dad.
Oh shit!
So but you can't try to play keys. And
dude,
you're pushing the buttons on the other side for chords.
Yeah.
So and just trying to figure out it's a lot.
Every time I see an accordion, I'm like, how high was the person that invented this instrument? It's
right.
It's so bizarre.
Just way better than us, and for I've seen it done. I've seen people do it, but not yet. I'm still the same with the keys, though. In general, like trying to after being a drummer so long and trying to separate the two hands.
Right.
While you're playing keys, is like, this is my bass line, but it's still like your kick drum and stuff too,
Yep.
And trying to balance that out. So it's been a really cool learning process to go through the different instruments.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I play guitar, or I should say I used to play guitar. I tried to pick it up like about a month ago. Mm-hmm. And my fingers were like, yeah, we don't do this anymore, dude. I was like,
right.
ow!
Right. And you just, Same thing. I was telling my buddy the other day about, at least on the keys, if you want a flat 5 or a 7 or something, it's right there. Just move your finger. But on the guitar, and you're like, I want to, let me let me go diminish.
Yeah,
trying to like.
It's like you need more fingers. That's why I'm so blown away by
absolutely
all these great guitar players like Trey and Jerry.
Oh yeah,
I mean anyone really that can like. And like
it's
jazz
spider fingers, like the spread of the arpeggios that they go through so quickly.
Yeah,
I'm not at that level.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, no way.
So knowing that you have a music background, this should be a pretty cool episode. At what point in your life did you discover Phish? You were obviously already playing music, and so
yes, I. Coming out of high school, I seriously, we covered all of Metallica as much as we could and stuff like that. I went to college, and it was kind of funny. It got introduced to me about the same time, like Metallica's Black Album came out. Remember, like grunge? Because all of a sudden, Use Your Illusion 2, GNR and all that stuff. All that stuff was hot. In the 90s, Nirvana started, all the Soundgarden, Primus, the Chili Peppers, the Horde tour, Blues Traveler, the Indigo Girls, all those. Okay. So I went to college and I was still kind of into metal. And then you start getting into like the Dead, like my college roommates, like, oh, you should listen to the Grateful Dead and you should listen, but everybody in the dorms listened to different stuff. Beastie Boys, a lot of the early 90s. And so I went home to see some buddies from high school, and we went to see Santana at Blossom just for the hell of it. Right. And these guys walk out on stage and play a 45-minute set, including like You Enjoy Myself or Susie or whatever the hell it was. Somewhere I have it in I dug out my Phish log for this too.
Oh, nice. Good. And that was 90
accident.
By accident.
92. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, that's what I thought.
And so where was that?
Oh, I love when stats.
Susie, Chalk Dust, Bouncin', Okipa. I thought they went into Uncle Pen, but it's not officially that they played Uncle Pen. You Enjoy Myself, Good Times, Bad Times.
And was this your first?
This is my first, and then
never heard of them.
Nope, never heard of Phish. So then they come back out on stage and jam with Santana's band, and there's like 10 people on stage, and that's when Johnny Fishman got to play with Carl and Raul Rico. That first tour, I think that's when they started jamming together.
That's when that relationship started.
Yeah. So I go back to college in Bowling Green, Ohio. And I knew a lot of people from New York. I mean, not a lot, a dozen, whatever, people from New York. Sure. And I had a buddy of mine says to me, if you ever get a chance to see those guys by themselves, it's worth your time. Go see them again. Okay. I was like, okay, fucking Phish from Vermont. I have no idea. So I was going to metal. I went to the Black Album show. I hadn't seen the Grateful Dead yet. I went to like Primus opened for Rush in 1984 or 1994. I mean,
that's wild.
In 92 though, the Black Album tour, Metallica played at Blossom, and I was just going to whatever. I wasn't really going to jam bands or other shows. I didn't go to Lollapalooza, the original one.
You did or didn't?
I didn't go to. Okay. Yeah. And so I looked, and I was lucky enough. The next Cleveland show wasn't until April of '93, and I tell people that I'm spoiled. Say, why don't you like why don't you like this Phish show or that show and and I say, man, I was spoiled. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, so I went back in April of '93 at the Cleveland Agora, And again, I'm used to going to see heavy metal shows.
Right.
So I'm like this on the front of the stage in front of Johnny Fishman's kit, ready for like a metal show. Like if I reach out, I can grab Johnny Fishman's hi-hat stand.
Oh wow, that
and
close.
I'm like this right on the stage for the whole show with my college roommates. Susie Greenberg, Sparkle, Ice, Reba, Chalk Dust, Esther, Stash, Fee, Rift, Golgi, Llama, Bouncin', All Things Reconsidered,
Sick.
Tweezer, Lizards, Big Ball Jam, You Enjoy Myself, Vibration of Life, Uncle Pen, Hold Your Head Up, Love You, Twee Prize, Double Encore, AC/DC Bag, Amazing Grace.
Yeah.
Acapella. So, and it's like, you're always bad mouthing modern Phish and what's Dollar Bill's problem? I was like, listen,
this is how I started.
My first show, there was no Bowie in there, if you noticed, but I'm like, I heard an Esther my first real show. I heard a Fee, everything that you would want to hear for like classic Phish, I heard at my first show. I was like, holy shit, You Enjoy Myself, everything. A Johnny Fishman segment, a Tweezer and a Twee Prize. Oh, I didn't hear a Mike's that night,
Oh, that's okay though.
I didn't hear,
And dude,
but just, man,
April 93,
yes.
I talk about April 93 often.
Oh my God.
It was like a little window, not just April, but like spring 93.
Yeah. Oh,
it was like, dark isn't the right word, but Mike, I don't know if he was just like louder in some recordings, but you could hear that Mike was actually leading a lot of those jams and kind of taking them to like, not dark, but like an aggressive place. And so like, I'm curious, like with you going into this, like as like your main thing, like you're a metalhead, like you said,
right.
Like, what was the first like reaction? Like what was the first song that like grabbed you and you're like, okay, this is pretty tight?
Man, I knew they were tight from that Santana opener.
Okay, so it started then.
I knew they were a good band. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone back to see them. Like as far as musicians in general, I could tell like these guys are. Were you allowed to use F-bombs on this show?
I don't know. I'll have to email
keep
the
it clean.
FCC. Yeah, no, you can say whatever you want.
They were. Let's just go with the Peter Griffin. Like they were freaking tight, just freaking tight. I mean, you can tell. And then again, to come out with Santana's band, like I appreciated classic rock and Santana and not just the metal. Like I love Floyd. I like Little Feat eventually because of Phish. Yeah. But there's a lot of classic rock bands that I really respect as far as the tightness and why you would like a Phish, like I wasn't really into Zappa like Phish was, and I didn't really know that Little Feat was like that, I learned a lot over the years, but they it was all that. Like I liked going back to like that list to say, okay, I'm into metal. Susie Greenberg is a rocker. Sparkle, they get ridiculously fast on, and they are tight. Okay, It's Ice is funky. I love It's Ice.
It's
that
weird.
Whole middle section, dude. The whole middle, Reba. Okay, Reba again is freaking jazz. I didn't know that I loved jazz, and I'm mad that I didn't see them in 1991 to do the last of before they stopped doing jazz.
Right.
I'm pretty upset that I never got, I've seen not Manteca, it's like Landlady and stuff. I've heard those, but I'm kind of mad that I didn't hear the early jazz. And you could tell they were really good musicians right when you hear them do, that kind of stuff. And then Chalk Dust, a rocker, again, being into metal, I'm like, oh my God, these guys are, Johnny Fishman is a freaking beast.
Dude, that's what Trey even said.
Oh man.
Like, he said that like the band is essentially named after him. Oh, he's like, if he was going to a Phish show, he would be watching Fishman the whole time.
Definitely. Oh yeah.
Dude is a beast.
No matter what the jokes, when you watch their body language on stage, you see Trey kind of sneak a peek to the side.
Yeah.
And like, when they used to set up the old way.
Yep.
And all the jokes, all the little dumb stuff. Like you still Trey kind of bend down, look over past Mike and look at Fishman like, yeah, I love, I got you.
Yeah, they can communicate without
man,
words, and and that's cool, dude, that you got to see them, because I would say that spring of '93 is one of my favorite eras to go back and listen to, because they're playing with such a grit, and like they're still on their way up. They're still kids. I mean, and they're playing like each show like their life depended on it.
Oh,
like,
and so, on like Monday. Yeah, that's what. Have you listened to like all the shows in the catalog per se?
Like no.
Are you a Phish.net member?
I am not.
Okay, so I found out early on at Phish.net was a thing, and so I joined. And you start to put in your information and say I was at these shows,
right?
And then you know the statistics guy, Zizix or whatever, Dave.
Yeah, Dave. Yeah.
Okay, so you can run your statistics on Phish.net, and it spits out a whole list of like, you should have heard Colonel Forbin by now, and you haven't, based on the shows. Cool. But then you can make a list and say, I've also heard these shows. I've heard these bootlegs.
I've listened to. Okay.
So you start marking them off. So I went through and did like 1,700 shows.
Wow.
And listened to all of them.
I wonder how many shows I have listened to, because when you asked me that question, you were like, have you listened to the whole catalog? And I was like, absolutely not.
It's amazing. And if you listen through a whole tour, you get a whole nother respect for what they do for 15 shows in a row.
Hearing the progression and hearing them figure little things out.
Yes. There used to be like an A-B list, like if you don't hear Mike's song tonight, you're going to hear You Enjoy Myself and blah, blah, blah. And then the next show is going to be Mike's song, this, blah, 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 blah. Because they didn't have that many songs.
Right.
So when you listen to a whole tour in a row, you're going to hear 7 Sparkles,
right?
And 7 Runaway Jims and 7 Slave to the Traffic Lights, because they didn't have that many songs back then.
Mm-hmm.
So you start to get a feel for, 3 shows ago, he didn't sing the chorus like that, but they changed it. Now he sings the chorus like that. Paige sings it with him. And Mike does this, and then they do this twice. Ding,
Yeah.
You can hear the changes as the tour goes along.
That's so cool. That's one of my favorite things. I haven't dug in that deep to where I've listened to like strings of shows in a row like that.
Mm-hmm.
But just hearing like through the years even.
And
then in the early years, like even we're talking about April or like spring, I said, of '93. Like that little area, and then like even like fall, like '94, like you can hear like these changes that have happened. But that's cool, like getting on like a granular level and like listening to a string of shows and being like, oh, that one was different than that one.
So I went, speaking of '94, so I went to Summer Tour Nautica in Cleveland. Again, my first couple shows, I was like on the rail riding pretty much in front of Fishman and Mike.
Real quick, in the early years, because I'm just trying to pinpoint when this whole thing started. In the early years, front row were there tarps, were there blankets, were people like saving spaces, or was it just like, hey, come up front?
I mean, for my shows, downtown Cleveland's more like a concrete, not really concrete jungle, but you know what I mean? It's not it's downtown shows. Like it depends on the show, the venue. So Phish did a lot of college, little places. And then it was like, well, what city is the college in? We'll play at this,
Right.
So, like for Cleveland, I saw a lot of Cleveland shows. So it's like 2 downtown, 2 at Cleveland State, the CSU Convocation Center, 5 shows at Blossom. When they come to Cleveland, they played all around but in the early days, like Oberlin College, they played at in like 90 or 91.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of dudes too,
Right.
I don't want to be sexist and say that the tarpers are women. So
easy, Bill.
But you got to remember in '93, it was a bunch of dudes and maybe some of their girlfriends. You know what
Sure.
I'm saying? To go see Phish by themselves as like a progressive rock band,
I
like
could see that. I mean, I wasn't
do
there,
chicks
but
like Phish? No, do you see a lot of chicks at Rush shows or
I
like
don't know. I've never been
Primus?
to a Rush
You know what I
show.
mean? Like chicks don't, you're going to see chicks at Dave Matthews Band shows or whatever. You're not even, Blues Traveler had a hit song. Another one that Phish used to make fun of was the Spin Doctors.
Right.
It's chick songs, those, you get your radio hit. And remember, Phish didn't want to have a radio hit.
Yeah, that's
They
coolest
purposely
thing. Yeah.
didn't record songs on their albums and stuff because they didn't want to have a hit song,
They
allegedly.
did though have that one music video for Down with Disease
Yes,
that was
they did
on
have you
MTV.
watched do you ever watch like the old interviews from like Yo MTV and stuff like that?
I don't know.
With Mike and
Are you
Trey?
talking like a specific one, like where they're like taking
There's
drinks and like
Yes,
crossing their legs
and
stuff?
they do the cross. They cross their legs
Yeah.
together. And they're drinking Magic Hat. By the way, I didn't know Magic Hat beer existed back in '94.
I don't even know what Magic Hat is.
It's a Vermont beer. And
okay, gotcha.
Anheuser-Busch or somebody bought them eventually to swallow up the smaller brands. But
Okay.
good beer. Yeah, I didn't know they had it back in '94 until I saw that MTV video.
It's so funny, dude, because you know that they're like thinking
Oh,
they're
they
like
don't
so
want to do that
funny.
stuff. They're jokers,
Yeah.
like, read some of the books about the old days. Like, I would love to meet their old group of people, like the Dude of Life.
Yeah.
I've seen, the guy that does the artwork, Jim Pollock. I've seen him at shows. I don't know, like the Dude of Life. Obviously, Chris, the light guy. I mean, you see him a lot if you walk by him, but I don't talk to him or anything. I wish I could sit there and shoot the shit with these guys all day, but they don't want to hear from me,
Yeah.
But just in the old days, I mean, I've read other people's stories where they're like, well, I was out back having a cigarette and I saw Mike, or I saw Trey and I talked to him and I gave Mike a ride home in New Hampshire. And I'm like, really? Like,
no shit.
Yeah. If you talk to a lot of the old timers that actually saw all the old shows in the 80s and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I even felt more like a noob in '93 because it was by the time Rift came out and Hoist, they're already like 5 albums into their career.
Yeah.
So I was like late,
the explosion,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak. One of them.
Oh yeah, because I still joke about the Billy Breathes kids. Like
kids.
So like I got it in time. I was like, I enjoy the hell out of Phish, and then you freaking Billy Breathes kids come in, and I got to hear Waste every show in Caspian.
Dude, and that's what's so funny about this is because they've been playing for so long.
Yeah.
And people have started or discovered the band in so many different, decades. And it's always blown my mind because I've heard people refer to it's like, oh yeah, whenever Hoist came out, like that was the beginning of the end. And for someone like me, I'm like,
more chicks though. More chicks started coming to the shows.
It's just a good thing.
Of course. It's good for the money. It's good for everything.
Yeah, it just blows my mind because like as a 3.0 kid, it's like,
oh, okay. When was your first show?
My first show was Miami 2009.
Okay.
That New Year's run.
Nice.
Because whenever I got into Phish, they were on, like, they weren't a band anymore. Like,
yes.
I was in high school and, I discovered this music.
Those were hard times. It was a long 5 years.
Yeah. And I discover them and I'm like, oh, this is dope. Like, I'm like really into this and start like diving in. And so then like I get on like the family computer and I'm like, what's up with Phish? And it's like, oh, they broke up. I was like, okay, I guess I'm not going to see them.
Right.
And then
did you see the David Letterman interview when they put out Undermine? They had to go around and do the late shows like David Letterman and whoever else.
Sure.
And they're like, and he holds up the CD. He's like, and here's a new one by Phish, which I guess you won't be able to see them because they're breaking up this summer.
He said that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, they broke up in that summer of 2004 after Coventry.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
they came out with Undermine on CD, and they still had to do all the
Oh, do all
press.
the PR. I guess that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't
It's
seen
like,
that
you
though.
won't be able to see that.
You're only
They're
gonna
breaking
see it
up.
here. Oh,
Yeah.
that's sad though. Um,
Yeah. It was
I'm
long 5 years.
I'm curious. Knowing that you started in 92,
Yes.
um, fast forward to 2023,
Okay.
you've been seeing Phish for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, whenever you're going back and listening, what stands out as like a favorite year that you keep going back
Oh,
to?
for the whole catalog, right? So,
Whole catalog.
man,
Yep.
dude, just because probably their peak physical endurance, and I'm talking Johnny Fishman again being the backbone. 92 is amazing.
Dude.
There's a run in 92 that it's like the Chris and not Chris, Tom and Trey are writing a lot.
Mhm.
Gamehenge is a thing. The Junta and Lawnbauer are a thing, but there's a whole like second book where I think all the Rift Hoist, when they started introducing that whole new section of songs in like 90, Tweezer was debuted, I think, in 90. They started to get more funky then, where people say like, oh, Ghost, like, remember when Ghost was brand new? It was like, man, they're laying down the cow funk. And
Cow
it's like,
funk.
yeah, but Tweezer was in like 90 and they really, they were already dabbling back then. But peak when Johnny Fishman's on and it's, you know, you're flying through the second set and let me stand next to your fire, just 92 is insanity.
It
And like I
really
said,
is.
sometimes, like I used to come home from work, and if I didn't listen at work, I would come home, put a show on, and again, go through all in a row. And I would try to play along if I could, like on an acoustic guitar or whatever I have around the house. Man. And you just look up at the computer screen and you're like, holy shit, it's a Monday night in Albuquerque at some dumbass bar. And I just
Yeah.
heard the best Phish show I've ever heard. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And 92 for me. 93 was great too. 94, 95, there's energy. It's hot. But I felt like 94, 95 was a little bit more disjointed for me. Like, I don't know. People change, I can't quite put my finger on it, but when you listen through in a row, they went through definitely certain peaks, and I would love to have those conversations with people who know. Did they have a specific conversation to say, I want to play 25% more ballads? Like I don't want to rock and roll for 28 songs a night.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think honestly, it was probably a bunch of different
yeah,
conversations that happened. And because each one it's so funny because you look at each member of the band and you wouldn't be like, oh yeah, you guys seem like you would be friends because all their personalities are so different, right? And so I think
yeah,
through those years, like especially like in the early years, like 92, 93, but then like getting to 94, 95, where they kind of, I don't want to say that they kind of like
they started getting rich.
Yeah, they were like, okay, this thing, like this is working. Like this is what we do now.
Yes.
Like they didn't
Bigger
have that
venues,
worry
man.
of like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, well, we got to make sure we book the next show so we can
Yes.
eat.
Yeah.
They're popular. They're a band.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
I think the conversations that were happening were like just trying to find that balance still of like, okay, Fishman and Trey are wanting to play fast, fiery, fucking a million notes a second, and then Paige maybe not so much. Maybe Mike is like, hey, I don't. So I think it was
they made a conscious effort. They chilled out a little bit, and they made a conscious effort to write songs together as the four of them.
Exactly.
And Billy Breeze, the Sicket disc into Ghost, all those albums have it's less Trey and Tom and more of the whole four of them.
Yeah.
Writing and they had more time, I think, and they got paid better. They were playing bigger venues. Jerry Garcia died.
That's
You,
also a huge
summer of 95.
You
Jerry
can't ignore
Garcia
that.
died. I saw Nautica 94 was still kind of small, medium. I saw Kent State 94.
Oh, sick.
And then I missed, they took off. They were recording Billy Breeze, I think, and they didn't come back and play until May of 95. I think 95 was kind of a short year for live shows. I don't think there was a spring tour. So they started playing in May. I saw them in 620. They actually released this. 620-95 Blossom is a great freaking show if you've never heard it.
620-95 Blossom.
The band actually officially released it on their archive studio. Spock's Brain, one of the original 8 versions of Spock's Brain they did in 95. Freaking love that song. You'll probably never hear one, but I hope you do. Yeah.
You probably never hear it.
Freaking, you'll probably never hear the song, but Spock's Brain, the original 8 versions. Look it up if you've never heard one.
Oh yeah, no, I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Great freaking song.
Yep.
But again, and then Jerry died. I saw that show at 620. I saw the Grateful Dead. Man, it was that summer. I didn't go to Soldier Field, but I saw the Dead. There was 2 nights at like Auburn Hills, maybe in Michigan.
Okay.
In June, maybe. Well, I want to say late June, because then Jerry died in August. But yeah, anyway, I saw it. So it was weird, and you knew that as far as the next,
there's going to be an influx of
the torch passing.
Yeah.
The alleged torch passing.
The alleged torch. Yeah. But yeah, that brought in a bunch of fans. I mean, and
definitely Deer Creek 96 was amazing. 2 nights there. They just, again, you're packing Deer Creek. That was my, remember the Grateful Dead, they ripped the fence down.
Yep. Gate crashers. Okay. Yeah.
So I went to 2 nights at Deer Creek 96 and the cops ran us through a checkpoint. And it was just cornfields back then.
Yeah.
Deer Creek was like brand new and there was like cornfields all around it. It's not like
it's pretty much all it still is.
No, it's not. There's a whole freaking mall and everything there now.
Really? I guess I haven't been to Deer Creek since
Deer Creek is like
2012.
The city built around Deer Creek now. There's no more corn except for on the north side, I think, of the parking lot. Yeah.
Yeah, because whenever I was there, it was just like kind of the same thing.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Corn everywhere.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But those were great shows. And like I said, a lot different crowd than say a couple years ago. Like by 96, again, not a lot more women, a lot more, again, people more, it's more these people, I think the Billy Breeze kids and stuff, I think are a lot of the family thing that you see like on the lawn, like these past 10 years, like I said, since 2009, when you started, it's like all the people that I went to shows with back in those mid 90s like that, they were the ones I think that it's like the whole family experience like it is today, to see a lot more kids, husbands and wives, people that have been going to shows together for, 10 years together or longer at this point. Yep. I think when they came back for the Joy in 2009, it really, a lot of those people that were that heartbroken about the breakup in general, really, that culture is now so much bigger.
Yeah. And more diversified.
Yeah. All the 1.0 people had kids, and all that kind of stuff. And now they can argue about the 4.0 people, and whether it's their kids or, your cousin's a 2.0 fan, bro,
2.0.
He only likes Round Room, just, he's the only person that's heard Mike play ficus,
Dude. So we talked about your favorite year of Phish. So you're sticking with 92.
Oh yeah.
Favorite jam of all time? The impossible question.
I mean, me, like just the one that I've seen personally, or just in general?
No,
because there's a lot of cool jams.
No, and I will say this. Quick plug for my buddy Brian. He has a podcast called Attendance Bias. If you haven't checked that out, you should check it out. And that's what he does is he has people come on and talk about their favorite jam, but you had to have seen that jam.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But for this question, you don't have to have seen it. Just your favorite jam of all time.
That's tough because
it's impossible.
I mean, Yeah, because there's the ones you've seen. Like I said, like, okay, I saw Star Lake 35-minute Runaway Jim,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, where I'm like, okay, that was a cool jam. But then, like, my first real show, like, You Enjoy Myself into Vibration of Life. I had no idea. It's the first time I ever heard it. So I was like, wow, it's not really a jam, but I'm like, that was really cool.
Yeah.
I saw that Kent State 94.
It's a monster.
I've seen actually two of them now. Harry Hood jam into Have Mercy back into Harry Hood.
That's dope.
So I've seen two of those because I think they were doing it as like an homage to the Kent State 94 one.
Yeah.
They busted one out at like Blossom, I think, a couple years ago or something. But, I was at the 97 December. They released this one too, the Tweezabella.
Oh yeah.
So I went to Cleveland. I went to Cleveland the night before. I think it was a CSU Convocation Center, whatever. I was like, oh, they played some, cool stuff, ghost stuff, whatever, because it's 97. I went to Detroit the next night. And I think right out of the gate, old school, Golgi and something else. And
yeah, dude, that Palace of Auburn Hill, the Tweezabella.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was 97, right?
97.
Okay. Yeah, the night before, Ghosts, Wilson, Funky Bitch, Black Eyed Katie, blah, blah, blah. They show up at Auburn Hills, Golgi opener, Antelope. So right off the bat, it's like two old songs, I'm like, oh shit. Train Song, Bathtub Gin, Foam, Sample, Fee, Maze, Cavern. So a lot of old songs, yep. Cavern, Fee, a lot of Junta. Second set opener, Tweezabella. It went on for, a half an hour, just gradually milking it into Isabella.
Dude, I'm getting goosebumps hearing you talk about it. Yeah.
And as it's happening in front of you, again, you do get that little feeling at the show where you're like, this is special. Like, this is, I want to hear this bootleg. Yeah. And then into Twist Around, Piper, Sleeping Monkey, Twee Prize, Rocky Top Encore. Just, at the, again, Johnny freaking Fishman, just fucking good old Rocky Top. Just
dude,
100 miles an hour.
I fucking love it. I fucking love it.
So, but then in modern times, as far as getting back to the jams question.
Yeah.
So then you hear like a Fuego or something, and I'm not, it's been so long. Fuego, Big Boat, all these more modern albums, they're probably never going to be my favorite Phish. Mm-hmm. I like some of it, but it's never going to be my favorite album. Right.
Right.
But then the first time I heard a Fuego live and then they jam it for 15 minutes hey, that was really good. I like that jam. A couple of modern Wolfman's Brother has gotten evil funky a couple times.
It has gotten evil, yeah.
Like Northerly Island, I went to, 14, 13,
I was there too.
17,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I freaking love Wombat. I heard a Wombat at Northerly.
And what year was that?
Oh, I think that was it 17?
Because I went 13.
Or was it an earlier one, like 14? Yeah.
14. Man, I think it was 14.
Dude, Wombat has been getting sick lately. Like the last couple of them even that they've played. I'm like, man, dude, Wombat has aged nicely.
Nicely.
as a jam, again, because now
jam vehicle.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird because for the jam thing for me, like, there's kind of like to go major, like musically speaking, if you want to get into this, it's like some jams they just stay major.
Yeah.
And they go, and you can tell they play around with different key signatures and sometimes minor. And they used to have like tendencies too, where it's like Trey used to always try to turn everything minor pentatonic, no matter what key you're in. As soon as the jam started, like if you're in Piper and you're all in G, C, D, everything's happy and major. And then you're in Dorian, D minor.
Yeah.
And immediately, and there was a couple of times I remember, even like I said, body language. You see Paige's head kind of turn sometimes.
Like, oh,
and just like, I didn't really want to do that. I didn't want to flat the third and go there.
We're
like,
playing
whatever,
Phrygian mode now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's just for the jam. So those would be my favorites I could think of off the top of my head. But that Tweezabella and that long ass Jim too. I said 35 minutes. Oh, Mike's birthday, 2011.
I was there.
Pine Knob, Michigan. The scarf. Fishman had the bra on. Did you see the bra incident and all that?
I was on the lawn, so I don't know if I saw the bra.
There was a volleyball that had Tila on it that they were pushing on. They did play Tila eventually. Somebody whipped up a pink bra, and I can't remember if it was Mike or Trey picked up because they were fucking with Paige. He gave Paige the beach ball, said Tila, because he gets to sing it. And they did happy birthday to Mike. They take this pink bra and he slingshots it at Fishman. And so Fishman, of course, has the sundress on. So Fishman takes his pink bra and puts that on and plays the rest of the first set with a freaking pink bra.
I don't think I saw that.
It is Mike's birthday, 2011.
Yeah, because the one thing I remember about that show was the second set was fucking sick. And then I also remember on the lot, like before the show, there were people like handing out flyers that it's like, hey, it's Mike's birthday. Like, we're all going to try and sing him happy birthday.
Right.
I think it was at like set break or something.
Sure.
And it was just a disaster. It was no one was singing there.
Because he did, Trey did it during NICU, I think.
A little tease. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
And I think he did he changed the lyrics, Happy Birthday Cactus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the second set. Your jam question. Down with Disease into A Love Supreme jam. It was like a 25-minute, It
was so good.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, favorite? I don't know.
Like I said, it's impossible.
It's so subjective
question.
Each day. Yeah.
Yeah. Depending on what mood I wake up in.
Right. Sometimes you want an evil Carini.
Yeah.
And you want it to stay minor.
Yeah.
And that's what sometimes, getting back to that jam thing, sometimes you want a jam to stay minor, like Stash or Carini, and they flip it major. And all of a sudden Trey goes to this major, and you're like, oh, I kind of wanted the minor. Like, can we get back?
It's like expectations, right? It's like,
well,
anytime I hear Kareem,
they want to change the channel, for themselves to say like, well, I don't want to play this mode anymore. I get it.
Yeah.
But again, for the rest of the crowd, you're like, man, I kind of wanted that to stay evil for a couple more minutes. Just really,
dark. Yeah.
Dig in a little bit more, like an old school Stash.
Yeah.
I thought some of the older Stashes were just gross, like and they would dig in a little bit.
I love those Stashes to where it gets to a certain point in the jam to where it's almost not music, to where it's each person is just making sounds, and then it like slowly fucking creeps back up, and you're like, shit, here we fucking go. I love that, dude.
One of my favorite things too is if you can see it, watch Fishman's hi-hat foot, because you'll never lose. You'll never lose where you are if you watch Fishman's hi-hat foot.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how crazy a jam gets, or like, you ever look at what the hell song were they playing? Something really weird that's like like Brother, or something that's in an odd timing. And there's a couple times like I'm sitting there, in the middle of a jam on the lawn, and I look up and I look around me. Nobody's dancing because they don't know what Phish is doing. You know?
It's hard. Yeah.
I feel like I'm like the only guy on the lawn going, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 5.
Yeah. Those
and it's hilarious.
Signatures.
And nobody's dancing, or like Sloth or something,
Yeah. And that's a good point. Like when nobody's dancing. And that's like a blanket statement, but like whenever it gets weird enough to where it's like hard to dance to, that's whenever I peak. That's whenever I'm like on alert. I'm okay, something's fucking happening. What is it?
Right?
Where are we going?
I love that because they are so subtle over the years. Where, like I said, they don't have to look at each other.
Yep.
And you heard about the exercises they used to do?
Hey.
Yeah, like pass the hay and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Right. So if you get to add flavor every time that you come back around and pass the hay, and like you said, like I said, is it a conscious effort? Mike, you have to pick a new one. After 3 minutes, it's your turn. Yeah. And then, the jam will go somewhere else. And then sometimes you hear Paige do something weird. They said they used to be the trill, the secret language, like la, 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 la. They used to do a trill. so that I can speak, you know.
Yep.
But it's much more subtle now that they're older,
Yep.
where they just flip a little, you know.
And it's funny that you say that, because if you've been listening to Phish long enough, like you made a perfect point. Back in the day, you could hear it. Like you would get the trill. You knew what the signals were.
Yes.
But now it's so funny listening to, we'll just call it new Phish. You can hear
4.0.
yeah.
Now that we're listening
you
to
can
4.0.
hear them to try and not try, but you can hear them communicating.
Yes.
And sometimes, whether it's Paige or whether it's Trey or whoever, I'll hear something and it's like they want the other ones to pick it up, and I'll be like, "Oh, do it," and
that would be my argument for calling it 4.0.
Okay.
As a longtime fan, because when you have a year off, whether if it was COVID's fault or not, and there was no shows and they weren't allowed to communicate with, not that they weren't allowed to communicate with each other, but Phish as a band didn't jam together for like a year again. Right. And then you get back together and you have another discussion about what you're going to do and how we're going to proceed forward. And that's where I think, whether it was COVID's fault or not, it becomes 4.0 to me, because it's a brand new discussion of what we're doing moving forward from this point.
Right. See, and I think the discussions never stop, though.
Oh, no, of course not like that. Yeah. But if you're not in the same room playing music with that person anymore every day, it changes.
Yeah.
And you have to have that discussion when you get back together and say, I'm going to play 45 more shows with you.
Yeah.
Now, what are we going to do? How are we going to go about playing 45 shows? What do you want to do? You know what I'm saying? Because it's a whole nother ballgame. Like, I think they discussed it somewhere. I can't remember one of the interviews. It was on YouTube or something like that. And Trey was talking about it was in that movie, wasn't it? Wasn't it Me and My Mind? I can't remember if it was in the
Between
movie.
Me and My Mind.
Yeah, he said like a list of like 100 songs. He's like, we have a list of 100. We know them. If you want anything specific, like, you got to call the other guy and say, hey, Paige, do you want to play Mound? You know, I'm going to need a day on that.
Yeah.
You know, I need some time. So, you know, that's why I say it's more of like and the older we get too, are you going to remember all the charts? You know,
right.
Do you know all the songs?
Yeah.
Like, I don't, you know, it's tough, man.
It's tough.
It's a tough band
to,
like, if you're going to be, no offense to AC/DC or, you know, let's just say you're in a 3-chord wonder band.
Right.
And you get back together after 40 years of being together as a band.
You're doing.
Oh, you're just going to pick up the guitar and go, nah, 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 you know. Right. But Trey and those guys have to go backstage and say, hey, man, you guys want to play, you know, Stash tonight? You know, you got to know all this shit, you know.
And, you know, going back into not just like musical modes, like, you know, you mentioned Dorian or Phrygian or Mixolydian, whatever, but like what moods they're in, you know, what mood is the crowd in? What kind of energy are they getting? That's where
I'm surprised Trey says that. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I mean, like, to the point where did we all want to hear a 20-minute Soul Planet?
Dude, as long as
he was reading the crowd, and I was not feeling a 20-minute Soul Planet opener, and he did it. So I'm not reading the crowd the same as Trey.
Dude, and what's crazy, did you go to any of these any of this spring tour, any of these shows?
The West Coast? No.
Dude,
I
don't
have the money for all that.
Yeah, you and me both.
Right?
But dude, they are firing on all cylinders. And of course, it's different.
Mike's new bass.
Dude.
Mike's new bass.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And Fishman. I mean, if Fishman's on, it's on. You know, it took, again, the backbone, and plus Mike got a new bass. It's like there's no reason for them not to. I mean, I've listened to, I think I'm on the 3rd night of Berkeley right now. And it's been good. There was, I mean, it's hard to impress an old man, you know, me for my, again, it's, you know, but I don't think they sounded bad. There was a couple things I don't like, but, you know, okay, first of all, you know, people have been bitching about Trey's singing.
I've been seeing that, and
now, what do you think as a person who started in 2009? Does it bother you with Trey's singing?
it doesn't bother me with his singing because right off the rip, point one,
Mm-hmm.
nobody in the band Phish is a good singer. So let's get that out of the way.
You know,
Whether
right.
whether
That's
you're
the point.
going an octave high, you're going an octave low, they're
Right.
not singers. And two, it's one of those things to where I think, because he had mentioned on an interview with Ari that he's done tinkering with his sound and stuff. So
he's a liar. I heard that too. He's a liar.
He is a liar.
He's a liar. If he's alive, he gets out of bed tomorrow, he's tinkering.
He's tinkering.
I wouldn't believe that man. I've never met Trey in person, but I don't believe him.
Yeah,
I heard that.
It's going to be impossible.
Yes, stop it.
It's going to be impossible.
Listen,
but here's what I'm thinking. We've heard and we've talked about how his sound and the style of playing has changed over the years. I think right now, with the singing, I think he's one, getting older, two,
yep.
And then also he's tinkering. He's trying something new, which is in the nature of the band. Instead of trying it on guitar, he's trying it with his voice,
Yep. I guess, okay, one of my complaints was, it's not really a complaint, it's just a notice, I guess. Like, he started singing Mama Dance by himself and not waiting, like Trey, he doesn't wait for people sometimes, and he just starts doing whatever. And I'm like, okay, that, it's your band. It's, that they are a pretty democracy, I would say. Again, having that discussion.
Yep.
Sometimes I think the discussions should have backstage, not
instead
on stage of people.
Right? Yeah.
And so for me, again, it's not my band. It's not my band. I don't control it. But it makes the other guys in the band sound bad because Trey ripcords jams, he sings out of key, or he jumps out of his position. And so Mike and Paige are left dangling in the wind.
And that's assuming, that's assuming that they didn't.
It sounds to me.
Right.
When I listen to shows, I'm like, ooh, Trey jumped up and was like, blah, blah, and I'm like, that's not his part. Right. And you can't have a 3-part harmony if one of the guys jumps out.
But here's the thing, just to play devil's advocate, maybe there was a discussion, and maybe it was like, okay, Trey, you take the high part this time, and Paige will take the low part.
Yeah.
And then Paige just doesn't come in. We don't know. Or was it just an accident? Did he think he was at a different point of the song?
Something at Berkeley. I'm trying to remember what it was now. He came back in at the end and was singing, it wasn't Steam, but it was cool. I mean, I was like, okay, I like that, where it wasn't my friend, or I'm trying to think, man, I don't know but it was cool. That was my point, is that he was trying something different and it was nice,
Yeah.
I saw the Slow Maze at Deer Creek last year, or whenever that was.
Oh yeah.
I didn't like it. Again, it was a good discussion backstage, and kudos for jumping off that cliff and doing it in front of people.
Yeah.
I totally, it's the counting again, Maze it's not a tough song to count. But there's parts where, like at the end where they go, bah, bah, boom, boom, do, 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 and that's what they missed when they did the Slow Maze. They didn't know how to count those in double slow time.
Right.
And that's where they train wrecked.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, it's a good idea backstage, but somebody's got to count that, where
Johnny Fishman.
I'm Fishman. Hello. And that's where it's like, Trey looks at him like, well, it was a great discussion backstage, though.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good idea.
Yep. Kudos for trying it in front of people,
Which
that's what they've always done. Yeah. They've always,
in the nature of the band, that's trying new things. It's what we're all here for.
And that's why I would say, even no matter what they're playing, I do feel that, where if I'm standing in the crowd and I'm like, I don't really want to hear this song right now. One of them always does something cool, and I look up at the stage and I'm like, man, that was cool. I'm glad, I'm glad I'm here. That was, man, Fishman did a killer fill in the middle of nowhere. And I was like, man, that's why I'm here.
And that's what I've always said is like, even if you go to a show and it's statistically on paper the worst Phish show that's ever happened,
right.
I'm not going to be bummed. Like, I'm standing in front of my 4 favorite musicians in the world. Like, I'm still going to be having a blast.
Oh yeah, there's good stuff. I know what you mean. I just saw one the other day, and again, no offense to the people on the West Coast. There was one the other day that was like, it wasn't like Caspian. Something it was every other song, and then like Leaves, and then a jam, and then not Winter Queen, because I just heard that one, but and I'm like, man, you guys got 3 ballads every other song. Like half of your second set was all ballads.
I'm trying to look for it right now.
Yeah, it just happened the other day, and I was like, man, why are they playing every other, Bug, Leaves?
Was it the Greek? Because I'm seeing Beneath the Sea of Stars, then I do no, it wasn't that one.
Yeah, and it wasn't Caspian though. Was it Waste? It was just weird that every other song I was like, man, that's, it seemed excessive
Ballad
for that
City,
one show,
right? Yeah.
Maybe it was LA night 1, because then the second night or whatever, when they did the greatest hits night, that was ridiculous. I haven't heard it yet. Have you heard of the LA shows yet?
The only thing that I listened to from the LA shows, dude, they've switched this live Phish app around so much. Like, I feel like nothing's in order, or maybe my phone's just.
Yeah, I haven't even messed with the live Phish app because it seemed like it was going to cost me a lot of money. I don't know.
I have someone's login, so.
Oh, I won't tell.
Okay,
Trey, I'm telling. Yeah, give Mike $5 next time I see him. Yeah,
here you go. Either way, I'm not going to waste time trying to find it, but I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on this question, because you're not one of those people, and there's nothing wrong with people that do not find anything wrong with all of our favorite bands. Yeah. But I can tell that you're passionate and you've got opinions to where you're like, oh yeah, no, this, I didn't like this, I didn't like this. So what would be a Phish song that you would be okay with never hearing again?
Well,
like, how much time you got?
Anyone who knows me right off the top would probably say Caspian.
Caspian?
I just bitch and complain about. Well, I was in a Phish cover band too for a while, like 5 or 6 years.
What was the name of the cover band?
At the Powerful Pills in the Cleveland area. Yeah, we played a lot of shows. It was kind of fun.
Dope.
And so, I was the drummer, but I sang all the Trey parts too.
Okay, there you go.
So it was like I was the lead singer on drums. It was kind of fun. And it's just one of those things where when you and your buddies whip up a set list, and I'm just like, man, I don't want to do Caspian. What you got to is you're in a Phish cover band. If you don't know how to play Caspian, you shouldn't be in a Phish cover band. You got
exactly.
That's our rules, kind of. That's was my rules at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't know how to play Wilson, I'm not going to be in a Phish cover band with you. You got to know how to play it. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So you just keep adding to that list of like, well, do you know how to play, this one or that one? Or do you start building a book, build yourself a book of what you know how to play. So yeah, to me, again, if I'm there live, I don't really want to hear Caspian again. I love Waste. I don't need to hear another Waste. I never loved Sample in a Jar. Okay. But I've heard like 25 samples live.
Yeah.
I don't care.
And
as soon as I notice a sample, I'm like, what? Oh, okay. Whatever.
Yeah. At that point, like there's no like really like bust out samples. Like you know what you're getting.
Right. And it's hard. And I hate to be an old man on this, but I swear even the last couple tweezers I've heard, you know what I mean? Like the opening the tweezer, and I just kind of look, I'm like, I don't. I don't know if I need to hear another tweezer right now. I just, and I'm the bad guy. Don't send any hate mail to Dollar Bill, by the way. No hate mail for Dollar Bill saying I'm sick of Tweezer.
No, dude, and that's what this podcast is about. Because how boring would it be if everyone had the same opinions?
Yeah, everybody loves Farmhouse. Okay, that's fine. Whatever,
dude. But speaking of Tweezer, wait till you get to Berkeley Night 2, I believe.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I listened to that. I'm on Berkeley Night 3 right now.
Okay,
okay. I didn't like it.
You didn't?
No. So get this. Tweezer was technically listed as like 45 minutes long, right?
Sure.
Okay. It was actually a half hour. And then they stopped. Trey ripcorded them and went back into the original Tweezer lick.
I know exactly what
and
you're
it was
talking about.
Stupid. I'm sorry. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it. And I looked at my phone because I was listening to it on my phone and it said, there's still 17 minutes left in this file. And I was like, yeah, but Trey just ripcorded them at 30 minutes. Let's see what happens. And the rest of the band basically was like, well, we're not done. We're not done. So Trey just ripcorded them for nothing out of a cool jam. They proceeded to go back into a dark jam for another 15 minutes. And then it just kind of petered out, I think, at the end. Or no, they went into Simple.
Yep.
And it was weird because then they played Simple. It was okay. I thought Simple was all right. But then they went right back into a dark jam, I think. Because 15 minutes later, I'm looking at my phone. I was like, oh, this is the Simple jam. But they basically went back to the same key, I think.
And they did that.
For the Tweezer jam. It was all right. But I didn't like that. I'm like, why did you ripcord them at 30 minutes just for them to drag you back into space for another 15 minutes? It was pointless.
That happened.
I don't know why he does it.
The Tweezer.
I could smell it a mile away too.
You could feel it coming.
Well, he does. He tries to drop hints of licks. I noticed it again. He's still doing it in Bathtub Gin after all these years. So it doesn't matter when you go type 2 and whatever key signature you're in, because they actually ended Bathtub Gin in the key of F, actually, or his lick. So instead of on C going, okay, it was on F, but they were twice as fast. And he was going, and I could smell it a mile away. I was like, he wants to end. He wants to go to the end. Doesn't matter what you're doing. He'll play the lick. And so in that Tweezer jam, he's trying to do the same thing, but he'll do it whatever tempo Fishman's playing, and he'll try to go, trying to like, I'm going to milk you guys back into Tweezer. And if nobody follows him after like 4, then he records you. Yeah, he gives you warning. He does. Yeah. If you listen close enough, he gives you what he wants to do.
Yeah.
But if you don't catch him for 4, he'll ripcord it.
Ripcord it.
Yep. That's my opinion.
I mean, it's not
through my listening. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not far off. I'm also curious to hear your answer on this. Been seeing the band since '92. What song are you chasing?
Hands down, Colonel Forbin, and I'll probably never get one. Forbin Mockingbird, and no offense, prove me wrong. They're too old, and probably so am I. It's probably one of the hardest songs to play, I think. If you sit down and try to learn Colonel Forbin yourself, all those stuff. Oh man, it's actually Mockingbird too. Yeah, all those little arpeggios or whatever, it's all that finger picking stuff.
Yep.
It's intense, and Trey's 60 some years old or whatever.
When you say it out loud, it sounds so bad.
It's just life. Like I know. It sucks that my dad's side of my family is musical. And I like cold called my Uncle Tom up in Wisconsin like a year or so ago. My wife and I stopped in on him. And that was one of my questions. Hey, man, you still play? You used to play back in the 60s? He said the same thing. His knuckles. He just showed me his hands like, I just can't. I can't do it. And my uncle's like 70s, early 70s. And so if Trey's 68 or whatever he is, or 64.
He's 58. I just looked it up.
It is 58. Well, you know what I'm saying? Who's the oldest again? Is Trey the oldest?
Let me see.
Yeah.
So Trey's 58. Let's see.
Or is Fishman the oldest? I can't remember.
John Fishman.
Oh shit! Actually, it might be Page now that I think of it.
Hey,
Because I'm trying to think of
Fishman
grind
is
numbers
58 too.
when they do grind. Who
Oh
says it
yeah.
first? Yeah, 58,000, 17,358.
Page is 59.
Yeah, so Page is probably the oldest. So that's what I mean. Like, it's a lot physically, I think, and I'll probably
Yeah.
never hear Forbin's. I mean, I never say never. And
Yeah.
if I do, again, I want to hear the Forbin in my mind from 90, and I'm not going to get that.
You're not going to get that.
It's not going to be that good.
Yeah.
The last couple times they've played it, they've had a little bit of trouble going into the Mockingbird because they get to the end of the and then you got to come around for that trill, and then in a Mockingbird, and Fishman switches the drum part, and right there they've had a lot of choppy. The last couple Mockingbirds have been a little like,
it's tough, man.
Absolutely is. It is, but so unfortunately, one of my favorite songs, I'll probably never hear it.
Well, you might hear it. You just might not hear it how you want to hear it.
Right. There's always a chance. It's never zero. Again, I love that about Phish. It's never a zero chance. But
never a zero.
I'm lucky to have heard a lot of like McGrups and stuff instead.
Yeah.
I do enjoy Tila actually.
Yeah.
Again, I enjoy Gamehenge in general. They're very technical songs. They're hard to play. And that's more, what gets me going, for when I listen to them.
Yeah.
A well-placed composition. Yeah.
Because they're all the compositions are just insane. If you like really look at them, it's like, wow.
So, and again, some of them I like more than others. Like I'm not a huge fan of Time Turns Elastic or Petrichor.
Right.
I can enjoy it as a composition, but like when Round Room came out, or like I love Sense and Subtle Sounds for like a newer composed. Pebbles and Marbles is amazing.
Love it.
Even simpler stuff like Waves, or I actually enjoy a good Walls of the Cave. There's a couple of like there's some 2.0 stuff that really didn't get worked out because they quit.
Yeah.
In 2004. So I saw Sense and Subtle Sounds at the Man, I think in 2015. And I think it was still like the 10th Sense and Subtle Sounds they've ever played.
Right.
And so, but they debuted it before they quit in 2004, I think. So there's some songs still to this day, they've only played them like 15 times.
Right.
The other day they did All of These Dreams, didn't they? Or no. Yeah. Wasn't it All of These Dreams in Seattle or Berkeley? I just heard it.
Let me see.
And they've only played that song like 15 times or something because they quit. And it really wasn't.
I can't. Dude, is anybody else? I guess you can answer me in the comments. Is anybody else having issues with their app? It's like instead of the shows being in order, it's like if you click on one, then it like reorders that one to the top. So if you don't click on them in order, or I could just be tripping. I don't know.
Right.
But either way. All right. Last question, because we're at the time. What song would you like to see Phish cover?
Oh, I mean,
Fuel by Metallica.
No, right? I guess I don't have anything super specific because I don't know if I'd want to I don't necessarily want them to play like The Dead or some of my other favorite bands that I like. Maybe just the old jazz again. I think as an older fan who missed the really early era, I would love to hear more jazz. I would love to hear Page do Satin Doll again.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Or Donna Lee is incredible. You ever looked up a version of Donna Lee from like 90 or 91?
Nah, I don't think so.
It's sick. Like, I don't know who did the original Ahead. It's I think it's a Charlie Parker song, and the one version on YouTube, they released an old, I think it was it 90 or because it didn't have the horns. But anyway, so you got Page, Mike, and Trey all doing the Head together. super fast swing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, holy shit, dude. All three guys doing the same. And then they bust in a swing, just fishing. You know, I'm like, holy shit, dude.
Dude, you had a
At that
chance to see
speed.
that. I just pulled it up. The last time they played it was 7/25/93.
Which one, Donna Lee or Satin
Yeah.
Doll?
Donna Lee.
Yeah. Yep. I saw spring 93, but they quit a lot of that. They used to do Caravan, Take the A Train.
Yep.
Shit. Yeah, Satin Doll and Donna Lee. And man, was there, which one is Thelonious Monk, Charlie Parker? I'm trying to remember if there was something else. And the Giant Country Horns, you know, on some of that stuff. Like I never got to see that.
Yep.
You know, and that would be for me, because the other covers, you're like, you know, like I wasn't like a huge Bowie fan when they did the Bowie album.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm like, you know, I like David Bowie, but okay, cool.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I enjoyed the Space Odyssey at Wrigley 16, I think. Wrigley Field 16, I think, was the first one.
Let me see.
And the Little Feet, they did Skin It Back at the Man 15, because they did the Little Feet album in like 12, I think, or something, for the Halloween. 11 or 12.
Something. All the dates start to run together for me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, listen. After going through all like 1,700 shows, believe me, it all. Yeah. They were like, remember when they did that? I'm like, no, you know,
don't.
I mean, some things, yes. I remember specific shows because it was the funniest damn thing.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
We just went by an anniversary of one. Have you heard? I think it's April 17th or whatever of 93 in Ann Arbor, Michigan. They did 2 nights.
Ooh. Not off the top of my head, but if it's spring 93, I've definitely heard it.
The encore, Big Black Furry Creature from Mars, Trey forgets to come back in. And it's like 7 minutes long. It's the longest Furry Creature from Mars I think they've ever played, because Mike and Trey were laying on their backs on the stage, flat on their backs. Okay. And they stopped. Well, Trey's supposed to start the na 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 na, you know, do to go back into Furry Creature from Mars. He didn't do it. He forgot.
So they just laid there?
Just laid there for like 5 minutes or whatever. And so finally Mike's kicking him and Fishman said something or whatever. And so Trey was like, oh shit, I forgot. So they finished the song. Thanks everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night. Okay. So the second night, they get to the encore or whatever. Instead of doing like hold your head up and having Fishman come out, Paige grabs the microphone and starts going, was anybody here last night? And you can hear Trey laughing. He's like, you know, oh no. He's like, did anybody hear the encore last night? And Trey, you know, and he's like, did you guys like the encore last night? And Paige gives him a holy bunch of shit on stage about screwing up the encore the night before.
I love that.
In front of everybody, again, just joking around, and you could hear Trey's dumbass laugh. You know, I'm sorry. And he comes, he apologizes. Like, I'm sorry, everybody. I forgot. It was supposed to be me. I was supposed to come in and play guitar, and I didn't do it. You know,
that's wild that they address like a mess up. Though.
I love that. Yeah. I love the stories.
Like breaking the wall. Yeah.
I love those stories. You know, just some of those are the best. Those to me are like the best Phish shows. You know, like again, you know, they played Tweezer for 45 minutes. I'm like, you know, I was like, one time they came out and Fishman, you know, threw a pie in his face and then did this and mooned everybody. You know, some of those jokes are like the best. Those are the best Phish shows to me.
Yeah.
You know, the really weird shit, you know. Yeah. Really good stuff.
Are you hitting any shows this summer?
Yes. Star Lake.
Nice.
I was on the fence about going to, for the same reason I just mentioned. Sunday, that weekend, is Syracuse, where Fishman grew up. And
You think
so
it's gonna be a
if they're going to do
barn
something
burner.
stupid, it's going to be at that Sunday show
Yeah.
at Lakewood Amphitheater. But Star Lake, 2 nights at Star Lake. I haven't been there since 03, I believe. I saw the Harpua in 03 before the IT Festival.
Oh, nice.
If you've never heard that one,
Nope.
that's
I know
another
exactly
good
what you're
story,
talking
dude.
about. Yep.
The Harpua.
Yep.
And Trey had a T-shirt on of like a Fishman caricature, like a cartoon. Looked like freaking, like a really weird drawing, but I don't know if it was a Pollock or whatever. But so anyway, and he tells this whole story about finding it.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, if anybody wants to know what Johnny Fishman looks like or something like that, Trey takes his guitar off. He's got this stupid T-shirt on. And then he's like, Fish, why don't you come out and do a song? So they did do I Fooled Around and Fell in Love.
Yep.
By Elvin Bishop. I think it's a one-timer still. The only time they ever played it.
It's gotta be.
And then they did Bittersweet Motel because, of course, halfway to Erie and Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And it was all inside the Harpua.
Yeah. Dude. Yeah. So that's the only show I'm going to be able to hit this year. So
Star Lake.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're lawn. I think, my wife and I just got 2-day lawn. Just get me in the door,
Yeah. I haven't even gotten my tickets yet because I figured it's not going to.
Yeah,
not gonna have any trouble finding tickets to that. So
no, I don't think so either.
And it's like a 5-hour drive from where I'm at, so I was like,
oh, okay,
it'll be a cheap one. Yeah,
that should be cool. Yeah.
Well, Bill, it was so nice to meet you, man. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for reaching out, and hopefully I'll see you at Star Lake. I'll reach out and connect with you before the show.
Yeah, please do.
So we can bitch about Phish together.
No hate mail again. Nobody sent any hate mail at Dollar Bill. I was like, you're too critical.
Dude,
Trey can do whatever he wants.
Dude, you are for as many people that can't find anything wrong with the band. There's just as many people that are critical. So it's
I hope so.
And it takes all of us to make this thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I want people to be entertained.
Yes.
And I love, man, this one of the biggest things, like I said, you will not find another band of all the other bands that I had seen before I saw Phish. It has ruined it for me when I go see other bands because they can't play reggae. They can't play jazz. They can't play heavy metal. They can't play rock and roll. They can't play a power ballad. All that stuff. They can't play calypso, but Phish can.
Yes,
and even those old stories when Phish was in college and all that with other bands, Phish can sit in with you and your band, but you can't sit in with Phish.
Yep,
because you're probably not good enough. It just ruined it for me. I'm like, man, I have no business playing music because these guys, holy crap.
Yeah,
man, that's how I felt. I forgot to throw that in at leaving that show in '93. That's how I felt. I never want to see my drumsticks ever again because I was like this in front of Johnny Fishman all night.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm not a drummer. There's no way I'm a good drummer. Never. Nope. I'm done.
They'll humble you real quick.
Yep. But it was inspiring at the same time.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And we will end on that note. I'm going to end the recording and just hang out with me for a second.
Sure. Absolutely.